Hello and welcome to Super Switch Headz, the premier Nintendo podcast on all of the internet. My name is Patrick Nisley.
My name is Matthew Stoner.
My name is David Howe, and boy, oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, you're in luck. We have a very special guest with us on today's episode. The Donnie's Depot of Deals man himself, Donnie Meyer, has joined the show. How's it going, Donnie?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Yeah, thanks, Donnie, for being here. Donnie, you're here to talk with us about Digimon and Digimon Survive. So, Donnie, you are like the Digimon person on our Discord. You talk about it, and in particular about, the upcoming game, Digimon Survive. We thought it would be a lot of fun to have you on and have you convince us as to why we should care about Digimon.
I'll do my
We're going to put all that pressure on you. No, but
not just us, but you, our listener. Maybe you're asking the same questions that we are. Maybe Donnie will convince you to also spend your time with Digimon.
The weight falls on you, Donnie, to validate an entire franchise.
It's a big one, so I don't think it's up to you. But I think it's just we see you talking about it, and we thought it'd be a lot of fun to have you on to do this. So we're glad you could be here. In addition to that, we're going to be talking about some, it's been a while since we've talked about some NFT blockchain stuff in games. So we got a couple of things to mention there. Switch Pro rumors continue, though maybe they shouldn't. We got some new NSO, a new N64 game coming out of nowhere, and a bunch of other news. Big one of E3 is going to be coming back next year. So we're going to go over all that stuff and more. But first, how's everybody doing this week?
Yeah, doing all right. Yeah, had a pretty good weekend, I think. I'm trying to think about exactly what I did this weekend. But I definitely, I went out, I did some karaoke on Friday. Here's why I don't remember what I did. Because I did some karaoke on Friday, and then I was like so spent that I spent the rest of the fucking weekend pretty much inside and didn't leave my house. I went and saw a friend's movie yesterday. That was cool. Matt, you were there.
I was there. Yeah.
That was really cool. But other than that, it was a lot of tinkering on the Steam Deck and playing Klonoa.
Nice. Matthew, how's your week?
Pretty good. I put in many hours into Earthbound. Donnie, thank you for organizing our JRPG club over on Discord. Join our Discord, FYI. That's what I've been primarily doing. Saw the movie, Friends movie, Steffens.
Yeah, that movie, by the way, is called Remember to Forget. It's directed by our good friend Stephen Gill, who I don't think it's available anywhere. It's not like I don't think it has distribution yet. But whenever it does, check it out.
Yeah.
If enough of the fans of this podcast demand it, I'm sure he'll release it somewhere.
That's what's holding Stefan back from doing it. Yeah.
He needs the Switch Headz community.
Oh man, Donnie, how about you? How have you been?
I've been pretty good. Trying to catch back up from vacation.
Yeah,
that was a lot of money spent.
Yeah,
Back to work and
tighten those purse strings. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You somehow, whenever you go on vacation, you always spend more than you think you're going to spend. At least that happens to me. That happens to me.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the best time to grab that wad of cash under the mattress. You know what I mean? What about you, Patrick? How was your week?
Yeah, it's been pretty good, actually. I think, if I'm being honest, I've been in a little bit of a funk for the last month, and I feel like I pulled myself out of it recently. I honestly things haven't been that bad. It's just like I have been kind of floating with directionless in a little bit over the last month, and I got some work I'm working on and a plan for things, and that feels good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you made a bit of an announcement on the Discord. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about that?
I can share it here, and I'm sure you'll be hearing more about this. But I took the big swing of betting on myself, and I mean I've been planning to do this for a while, but I formed a company with to get a bank account so I can start having some contracts with some people because I'm working on some games, game dev company. I haven't told anybody this, I don't think, but the game company is called One Frog Games.
One
Frog, based, sort of a self-referential thing.
One frog. One frog can make all the difference.
Exactly. So anyway, I'm working up a demo of Monochrome Heights, and I'm sure I'll talk more about that in the coming weeks. But yeah.
Congratulations, Patrick. That's awesome news.
Yeah, thanks everybody. But I think with that, we'll move on. And a couple quick shout outs from our last episode, which was about 2D animation, in particular, like cutscenes and stuff, where we had a wonderful guest who talked about their work on Sonic Origins cutscenes, among other things. And we got some great discussion in the Discord from DCD and A Musel, who were kind of just like talking about how great the insights was. It was really good, like, talk about something that maybe people don't think about and how it works in terms of making animation and stuff like that. And also we got a comment from Cena about how Comic Zone is kind of a predecessor of Beautiful Joe, which that was a game that was recently added to NSO. So good point there.
Comic Zone, not Beautiful Joe, unfortunately.
Right.
That game needs to come to the Switch.
Exactly. So yeah, we like hearing from our listeners and viewers. So please do send us a comment on this episode. Maybe we'll shout you out next time. And then, we always appreciate it if you leave a review somewhere or share the podcast. And definitely, if you haven't already, subscribe to us on YouTube and then like this episode. We'd appreciate those things. So we're going to start off our news and rumors section talking about, like I said, it's been a while since we've talked about the crypto/NFT phenomenon that's been happening with gaming, partly because I feel like it has died down. I don't know if it's actually died down. It's died down a little bit. But also
the value of crypto has died down.
Value has died down. And so maybe that's caused some. I still feel like I see a lot of it, but it's kind of just like whatever. Anyway, one company has announced that they're going to make a like console around it called the Polium 1, which I don't know. It's just a weird phenomenon. And I love this one article that I was reading about it where they're like, it's announced with no games and all, and then showcases some of the like crypto NFT games that are like in development and how early footage of them and how not great they look. Yeah.
But this thing also, like the logo is basically the GameCube logo, kind of like turned on its side. Just so much about it just has no originality. I think the name was also derivative of something else. This thing was kind of doomed from the start, I think.
Yeah, we'll see. One thing that also happened kind of in this space as well is in Brazil, they had a big conference called the Brazil International Games Festival. And there was somebody who gave a talk there. His name is Mark Venturelli. And he kind of like scheduled his talk to sound like it was called The Future of Game Design. And then like right away said, no, this is actually about why NFTs are a nightmare, and talked about that. And apparently the crowd was really into it. And like, according to one person, like gave him a standing ovation. But a big point to be made here too, is that like that conference was like sponsored by cryptocurrency companies, a number of them, NFT companies and stuff. And I think apparently they were upset, but I think it just feels like you're saying, David, not just is it dying, it's like the people that really want it to happen maybe aren't the people that make games. And there's this weird, like, I don't know, phenomenon of
hello fellow kids sort of mentality. You know what I mean? It's seriously, it's like the same. I think people were also dubious about about the big tech companies getting into gaming, like Google with Stadia and Amazon with Luna. They're like, hey, you guys think you're fucking game developers just because you have a lot of money? All of a sudden it's like these people that got rich quick or whatever on these pyramid schemes, like being like, hey, we're gonna be the ones that are like the stalwarts of metaverse gaming or whatever, right? But they don't know shit from Shinola, and to make me sound like a 55-year-old.
They don't know any modern sayings.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's trying to like put your foot in the door and act like you've always been a part of the industry is, especially in this industry, it's like we can smell shit from a mile away, And so it's like, I don't know. They've got an uphill battle. And if this conference is anything to take away from that, I mean, like, obviously people in the industry feel the same.
I didn't know Shinola is shoe polish. So now I know the purpose of the saying.
Yeah. You just don't want to cover your shoes in shit.
Right. But you do want to cover them in Shinola.
That's right. Buy Shinola at your local Walmart today.
I'm not familiar with these Texas sayings, so
Buy Shinola
we did.
coin.
Yeah.
Do you guys have Shinola in Illinois?
Not that I know.
Well, back to Nintendo for a minute here. So we've been talking about Nintendo Switch Pro rumors a little bit, and another little log to fuel that fire was launched this week of somebody pointing out that some of the previous like hardware announcement videos on YouTube had been privatized, which I don't know that means anything. And in fact, I think it was Kit from like the Nintendo Minute, or that doesn't exist anymore, said that that doesn't really mean anything. That happens a lot because it's been a year and some licenses need to be renewed or something like that. But I think that was pointed out because maybe it has happened in the past where those videos go down for a little bit to, not cause confusion about new products. So I don't know. Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the reason they were brought down was for an announcement, which we'll get to in a second. It wasn't for a Switch Pro, obviously. But I mean, this stuff does happen. I think that there's truth to both sides. I mean, obviously, Kit from the Kit and Krista podcast worked at Nintendo for a really long time, and they've seen this stuff happen before. And you hear this a lot of time, commercial licensing for likenesses and music and all this different kind of stuff around commercials is a whole different beast compared to lots of other licensing. And yeah, oftentimes it'll be on like a year long contract or whatever, right? So that's definitely something that happens. But I mean, also this happens in other areas of tech too, like before they release a new iPhone model or something, they'll delist or make private old iPhone announcement trailers just so that the algorithm or the SEO doesn't conflict with itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's, so I think that there was truth in both of these. But I mean, regardless, there was an announcement of a new Switch model right after that this got taken down. So I don't think that, I think that it's, if we see this happen again in the future, it's worth looking at that as a potential announcement upcoming. I think it's like, I don't think the rumor mill was just like going amok on this one. It just wasn't what everybody was hoping it would be. And
I guess there's been some, I don't know a lot about this. Maybe one of you can take this, but there's been some trademarks related to like resolution or upscaling images that Nintendo has been filing, or that adding to this speculation as well.
Yeah, I mean, we know that Nintendo has been working with NVIDIA, since the Switch. I mean, it uses their Tegra chip in the Switch. It's a partnership that's proved very fruitful for them. And then NVIDIA also is one of the, they created DLSS, which is a kind of upscaling technique, super sampling that uses machine learning. And Nintendo has filed patents for their own kind of form of machine learning AI upscaling, which obviously this has been talked about for a long time as what could potentially be in a Switch Pro. This doesn't mean that it's coming around anytime soon, because I think this has been worked on for a long time, but now it's like official, right? It's at the patent office and you can see it. And so, that's just more fuel for the fire for this Switch Pro stuff that at this point I'm taking with a massive grain of salt. It's going to happen at some point when, who knows?
Yeah, to put it on a time frame too, is Nintendo files this patent in March 25th, 2020, and it is now in the system July 5th, 2022. So about 2 years later.
Right. Got it. And I mean, that would also line up with what we're hearing from insiders on, dev kits, 4K capable dev kits being in the hands of developers for about 2 years now. We've been hearing about that, kind of lines up as well with that original release of the OLED. So I think that there's, or not quite, but you know what I'm saying, right? I feel like the timeline matches up, right?
I agree.
It's just,
yeah.
I think a lot of this has to do with market constraints on what they were and weren't able to ship.
Well, like you said, David, they did announce one new piece of hardware, sort of. It's the first OLED themed Switch, I believe. So they announced that the Splatoon 3 OLED model is going to be coming out on August 26th. So if you've been on the fence about getting an OLED model but love Splatoon, I don't know, maybe this is for you. It's got some like unique Joy-Cons, right? And then obviously the dock has got like a Splatoon theme on it, and Yeah. So that is a thing.
I might pick up the Pro controller.
Oh, and yeah,
Oh,
and there's the Pro controller too.
Right,
That's right.
right.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah, I think those Joy-Cons are looking pretty sexy to me. I don't know about you guys. I like the gradient, right? And then I like that it's like a two-tone thing too. So it's like the back is white and then the front has the gradient on it. I think that's looking pretty good. I think it's just a shame. I just wish you could buy just the Joy-Cons, right? I think they want you to buy a whole nother console just to get the Joy-Cons.
Yeah. That's what are you gonna do?
I guess I'm gonna buy that console. I'm just kidding.
Is this the first set of Joy-Cons that we have that have like multicolored or have a gradient?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know. It feels that way.
Yeah, they're really nice looking. But yeah, definitely it's the OLED is now that I've had the OLED for a long time, I will say the OLED is worth it. So if you've been holding off on upgrading, maybe wait for a Switch Pro, but also maybe just get this because it's a really nice looking system, and yeah, that OLED screen is a game changer.
You know, we've been speculating a little bit about whether there would be more Nintendo 64 games that would come to the Nintendo Switch Online service after all of the ones they had previously announced went through, and now we know there is an additional game at least coming out on July 15th. Pokemon Puzzle League is going to be joining the expansion pack on online service. So yeah, I don't really know much about this game. I know it's a puzzle game. Isn't it very similar to, was it Panel de Pon, or is it
what game? Panel de Pon, basically. Yeah. AKA Tetris Attack. There's a few different names for it. It was never released as Panel de Pon in the West. But this was, this is a lot of people's first exposure to that other than Tetris Attack. We've got the Japanese version of Panel de Pon on the American Super Nintendo NSO, but this is a great version of the game. It's got a lot of great multiplayer options. You can do 4-player multiplayer. There's lots of different battle modes and different puzzle modes and stuff like that. And if you're a fan of the anime, it's got like full clips from the anime and stuff in it as well, which is kind of cool to see on an N64 game. So I'm very excited about this one.
And I guess Japan got a couple games that we didn't get because they are games that were only ever released in Japan. That's Custom Robo and Custom Robo V2, which I don't know much about these games at all. Is Custom Robo V2 a sequel or just like sort of a modified version or something? Do you know?
Yeah, it's the sequel. Yeah, okay. Yeah, these are cool. I've never played these ones specifically. There's Custom Robo for the GameCube that was released in the US, but they're cool, kind of competitive robot fighting games. It's worth checking out, and it's free to download. You just have to download the Japanese app.
Also, one of the expansion pass or pack, rather, I should say, bonuses is the extra Mario Kart 8 deluxe tracks, right? And whenever they first announced how long they were going to be, putting them out and how many there were, it kind of seemed like it would fall right around now. For the second wave of these tracks to come out. But we haven't heard anything about it. But there's been a little bit of speculation about this because of some ads inside of 7-Eleven stores in Japan, which we're only talking about because that has in the past proved to be somewhat tied to DLC and these games, right? Like the Smash games, they would have like these posters come up right before characters were released and stuff like that. And I guess right now there's some ad in there that says like it needs to be taken down, right? Like really soon, that only mentions the first one. And so people are thinking that might mean the second wave is coming soon. But, time's out, right? So I don't know what to say. What else to say? It should be soon, hopefully, right? That's what we want. I was just thinking about it the other night. I was like, man, I'm really ready for some more courses.
I know, and it's crazy that we're recording this episode on Free Slurpee Day. You know what I mean? It's just a little bit of divine providence. It is. Yeah, I'll get you a free Slurpee after this. But
advantage of that.
This is brought to you by 7-Eleven. 711. But Japan, in Japan and in lots of other countries around the world, 7-Eleven is like a lot bougier than it is here in the US. And they do lots of different kinds of cross promotions, and you can even buy like credit cards and stuff in 7-Eleven, like in Japan. Like it's they have lots of deals with like Nintendo and big companies and stuff like that, right? So yeah, Push Dustin tweeted about this, and he's been following this kind of stuff for a long time through Smash speculation. It's just nice to see all the things that led to Smash leaks being applied to Mario Kart 8 DLC tracks, right? Because it's for me, it's just as hype, and I can't wait to get these tracks to play on for sure.
Yeah, and then something you no longer have to wait for is the Klonoa Fantasy Reverie series release. I know that just came out on the Switch, and I guess I don't know if they had announced this, but there's a demo that's available, right? As well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Has anybody checked out the demo or?
I downloaded it. I haven't tried it out yet, but I'm going to soon.
Yeah, I mean,
David, you've been playing it, right?
Yeah. I bought the game. I downloaded the demo a while ago from the Japanese eShop. But then, yeah, I bought the game. I'm loving it. It's great. It's fucking play Klonoa. I don't know what else to say. Klonoa, it's a PS1 classic, Klonoa Door to Phantomile, and then this also has the PS2 sequel on it, which is a Klonoa Lunatea's Veil. And both of them are excellent games that really stand the test of time. Klonoa 1 still holds up on the PS1, to be honest. The visual style still holds up, I think, to this day. And then the Wii remake, which was kind of the basis of this remaster, is also excellent. So yeah, if you like good creative platforming, I've always kind of compared it to, it's like kind of like Kirby, if Kirby was like a little bit more challenging, right? Not like so just you breeze right through the whole thing. But it's got really creative, like 2D style levels in a 3D environment. Yeah, it's just really unique, and to this day remains a great untapped franchise. So definitely everybody go get this game so they make a Klonoa 3.
And then this next news item, I don't know how to intro this. Maybe just when we were talking about whether to include it or not, David said, maybe we should also add that Hideo Kojima was framed for murder or something like that. And like for like the murder of the prime minister of or the ex-prime minister of Japan. It's like, what a world, what a time to be alive.
Yeah, figuring out where to slot this in the news items was difficult.
The former prime minister of Japan, very well-known, long-running prime minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, was assassinated. And apparently there was some meme, right? Like a 4chan terrible image that they made it look like it was Hideo Kojima. And then like that some news outlets picked this up or something. And it kind of made a little fake news cycle. What a world. What a time to be alive.
Totally insane. It's because obviously Kojima is like a pretty far left person. He always has been very outspoken in that way. And so, so he's got photos of him like next to, like a picture of Che Guevara and, and he's got this like kind of hat on that like looks super communist. And so it's like, they basically took those images and like said that this was the guy who was the assassin of Shinzo Abe, which is obviously nowhere near accurate. The guy who killed Shinzo Abe is in custody, right? Like they got him immediately after he did it. But yeah, nevertheless, this went around Twitter quite a bit, and yeah, news outlets were reporting on it. Now I think Kojima Productions has said that they're threatening to sue based on this, and this is hurting their image as a company and everything like that. And so it's just one of those fake news things that starts to really cause real life damage. And everybody's reporting on it too. Like this is from like a BBC article. I was reading on it.
Weird. I don't know what else to say. Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid has become real life.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. I'm not sure which.
Moving on, I guess. Gamesindustry.biz. I thought this was pretty cool. They had awards for the best places to work in the video game industry. And this past week, they had winners for the US and for Canada. And then I think in the next few days, actually, they're going to do one for the UK. We talk a lot about the terrible places to work because of news coming out about crunch or about, abuse or what have you. It's nice to see some focus on the other side of it, of companies that are, being held up because they're treating their employees well or whatever it is that gets them on here. But there's 11 US companies that like won. They kind of broke it down into different sizes, and it includes like Respawn and Iron Galaxy for the big ones, and then several in the mid size and smaller ones. I don't know if there's anything y'all want to lift up out of this, but I just thought it was cool.
List them out. What do we got?
Let's list them out. Mid-size is 47 Communications, Intellivision, Parsec, Shell Games, and I don't know how you say this, Servio, something like that.
Intellivision?
That's what it said.
Like Tommy Tallarico in television?
I don't know. I'm just reading the thing. And then for like really small companies, it's Big Run Studios, Phoenix Labs, Pragma Platform, and Virtuos. And then there's Canadian ones too. But if you're in Canada, and I'm not going to read those, sorry, you can go check it out.
This just in, Patrick hates Canadians.
Yep. IDOS is on there. I don't know. We can talk about the big ones.
I'm just kidding. That's interesting.
Yeah. I think it's like based on some sort of, what do you call it? Like survey of people that work in the industry and that kind of thing. So, And then finally, our last bit of news here, E3 is coming back in 2023. There was an announcement made that they're going to join up with the PAX organizers. What's it called? ReedPop?
Yeah,
right?
ReedPop also owns GameIndustry.biz.
Oh, there you go. They're going to be coming back in 2023 in LA. They've announced at the same place, the Los Angeles Convention Center. So that's something we, I guess, have to look forward to. I don't know how we feel about ReedPop being involved. They know how to put on a conference, so maybe that's a good thing.
This is not the first time that the ESA has said that E3 is coming back after they've teamed up with an events organizer, right? This is what happened last year, right? And so we've heard the song and dance before. I want to believe it. I miss E3. I think, we shouldn't let Jeff Keighley control everything. I'm sure he's a fine man. But I want E3 back. I don't like his Summer Games Fest. I hope this works out. I think ReedPop makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? Probably makes more sense than just the ESA running it themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially as it's become more of a fan convention and that sort of thing, and that maybe makes more sense for it to be.
Yeah. I was listening to IGN's Nintendo podcast, MVC, and they were talking, someone made a really good point on there, and I forget who it was, so I apologize, but ReedPop might not want to make this, because there's been talk about how they're trying to make it industry focused again, right? Now that doesn't mean that they're going to take the fan element out of it completely, but it does kind of make sense that they might bring it back towards an industry focus with them also controlling PAX, because they wouldn't want to just make E3 a direct competitor to PAX if they're running both events, right? So I think that could be a good thing, right? I think that, pretty much what everybody in the industry says is that as soon as E3 started becoming a big fan event, it just became harder and harder to use as a trade show, which is what it was always intended to be, right? Hopefully A, this actually does come back, and then B, they're able to kind of refocus it to a place where it doesn't cost quite as much money and they're not having to recoup so much interest.
I'm also hesitant, just like David. I want it to come back. Summer Game Fest is fine, but it's not a direct replacement of E3. It is maybe a worse product by creating an okay experience. But we need something that consolidates the complex ecosystem that is the video game industry, and to consolidate it into an experience that's a shorter amount of time. And hope E3 does that, and that's what it's been doing for almost its entire life. That's all I want back. So I'm hopeful. I'm scared.
That's how I feel all the time.
Yeah, I always feel that way.
Hopeful but scared.
What about you, Donnie? Have you been feeling the kind of loss of E3 over the past few years?
Oh yeah. I'm ready for E3 to come back, and that way also Nintendo will have their direct in order too. So
Yeah,
we won't get another partner
no
showcase.
mini direct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I like knowing when it's gonna fucking be.
Yeah.
You know,
It's the
I
one
like
guaranteed direct.
exactly, and then you can build up. You could hype a lot more responsibly than this. Just like saying, like, oh,
Guessing.
you know, there's gonna be a first party direct on July 13th, 2022.
You've been
You know.
really hitting this one hard, David. People,
We'll see tomorrow, I
Yeah,
guess.
people. Our listeners will know at this
Yeah.
point, but we don't right now.
Unless they shadow drop it.
On July 21st.
The July 13th.
I'll try. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On July 21st. All right. Well, that does it. That's our news and rumors section. When we come back, we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking all about Digimon and the upcoming game, Digimon Survive. All right, we are back. And this week we are talking with our friend Donnie about Digimon. Digimon Survive is the newest game in that series that's coming out later this month. And because of that, and because Donnie's always talking to us about Digimon on our Discord server, we thought it would be fun to have him on and talk about the franchise as a whole and a little bit of hype for the upcoming game. Donnie, is there anything you want to say about why you like this franchise or why you've been talking it up to us to set the tone for us a little bit?
Well, I'm a fan of Digimon and Pokemon, but I lean more heavy on Digimon. So Pokemon's got like the lightheartedness and stuff to it, and Digimon has more like the dark and like kind of depressive stuff. And so it's like it was more for like a mature audience, and even when I was younger, it clung to me more. And I had the little digital pet, like the Tamagotchi, and you could take that to school, and we'd battle other kids or whatever, and that was fun. And
Yeah.
I think they could die too.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's my understanding. I did a deep dive into Digimon lore, and one of the mature themes that people talked about a lot is like in the movies or in the anime, these characters that you grow to love, these Digimon, they in some cases actually die. So there's a cycle of life and death that is reflected in Digimon. That's not quite in Pokemon.
They don't just like faint like Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just take them to the
Yeah,
hospital.
back in.
They're fine.
Yeah. Talking about what you were just saying, Donnie, about the little digital, like the Tamagotchi type
Yeah.
things. I feel like that's kind of like a lot of people don't know about that.
I
You know
didn't
what I mean?
actually before I started reading up on this.
Yeah.
this
Because it's
episode.
like, it reminds me of like, kind of like how everybody collected Pokemon cards, but barely anybody actually played the card game. The little Digimon Tamagotchi things really remind me of that, because that's how it all started. But me and my brother would do that all the time, because you would like connect them and you would have your little characters fight and stuff like that. And it was just so cool. Like I remember it being super awesome back in the day. But
Was
then
that
the cartoon came out and it became like, oh, this is just something that's trying to be Pokemon, but it was really kind of its own thing apart from Pokemon, I think.
Yeah, was the little Digimon devices, was that before Pokemon came out?
This is a great question that I just realized so like, here you go. Here's your timeline, right? Well, first off, like, so it's Bandai that made these things, right? Like, and they are little digital pets that were the quote unquote, I think I read about the boys Tamagotchi. I guess Tamagotchi was kind of geared more towards a female audience or a young girl audience, and then they made these to be for these words are for boys. The tough
It's
ones, or
the He-Man to the Barbie of
Yeah.
yeah.
Tamagotchis didn't fight.
yeah.
They just pooped.
But that was 1997 that they came out, I believe. And I guess it was right around. It was a little before that, I think, actually, that Pokemon came out, right? Like 96.
Right. Yeah. I think undoubtedly, I mean, Digimon, Pokemon, it like clearly I think that there was a bit of coattail writing going on, right? But it wasn't like right off the bat they were just doing cards and they were doing video games and they were doing, you know what I mean? It was like what I liked about it was that they kind of had their own spin to it, and then it kind of like became a little bit, as soon as the anime took off, that's when a lot of the real comparisons started to really show themselves.
Yeah, I mean, we can do this now. I mean, I think should we go through like what's different about them, like or like or which is better? Give the official Switch Headz, like because I think
let's have 4 grown ass men talk about what's better.
I think, but I guess that there's a lot of like similarities, right? Because in the game they're digital monsters, right? Or in the series, it's kind of like a very similar thing, but like you said, it's Digimon's a little bit darker, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what else is like? I was kind of reading about the differences, and it's like the worlds are different, right? Like it's 2 worlds crashing instead of there's just a world where there are people in Pokemon, right?
Yeah. So like Digimon Adventure, for example, it's like the 90s, which I think it was originally just called Digimon, but on Hulu now it's called Digimon Adventure. I could be wrong about that, but so it started out. Climate change is hitting all these kids, and they got blizzards in July, and then just a tsunami comes and just takes them all to the digital world, basically.
The tsunami to the digital world, yeah.
Yeah. And then so Digimon are like supposed to be like ethereal beings, and they cling on to like each kid. They each have one kid that they cling on to that they're supposed to protect, and they're supposed to connect with like an emotion and like their strengths and stuff too. So I guess the stronger the kid or teenager, I think they're teenagers at that time, then the more chance it had for a Digimon to like digivolve and stuff too. Which like so do you know who Agumon is, the little orange T-Rex everybody knows?
Yeah, he's like the main one. He's
Main
the
one,
Pikachu of Digimon.
Pikachu, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Charmander's the great value version of him.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. I see.
No, I'm just kidding. But he starts out as Koromon, and he's like a little pink dude, just a little circle. He digivolves into Agumon, the little T-Rex, and after that, if they're like in trouble, the kids are in danger, he can digivolve into other phases. There's Ultimate and just his regular Digivolve, which is the big, huge T-Rex with the metal face.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Metal Greymon. He Digivolve into that, but after the battle, he'll go back to his original form. Not the very first form, but Agumon. So it's kind of cool how they do that. They don't stay.
They're not permanent. Yeah.
It's like a special attack, Super Saiyan or something.
I think it's kind of a good way to differentiate it, right? Because like I feel like Pokemon always kind of like wrote themselves into a corner a bit with Pikachu being the main kind of Pokemon, but like in the games, you want to evolve your Pokemon to make them stronger, but like kids never wanted to evolve their Pikachu because it was the fucking mascot, and it was like
nobody wants Raichu.
Exactly, nobody likes fucking Raichu. Raichu's a burnout. I think we can all agree on that. But yeah, that is a pretty cool differentiation.
I never also realized that Digimon were a reflection of the human character. So that's another differentiator between Digimon and Pokemon, where you evolve the Pokemon, but the Digimon evolve based on their connection with the teenager in this case.
And also, they're not trainers; they're tamers. So it's very different terminology, right? Definitely not riding the coattails.
Yeah, they're different, Patrick. Was that funny?
I said it. I said they're different.
Well, that's like Digimon have the way it's darker is they're going after villains and they're trying to save their world and the digital world. Whereas Pokemon is just Ash is just trying to be the best of the best.
There's no world threat in Pokemon, or not typically, right?
Yeah.
Team Rocket.
Yeah, they're the threat.
Yeah, but they just sing songs and hang out with the talking cat. Yeah,
I love it.
So yeah, I mean, we've talked about sort of the franchise here, but in addition to the digital pets and the animes and stuff like that, they started making video games, right? starting in the late 90s and 99, I think. And then they've since made a ton of these, right?
Yeah.
Donnie, I know you've played at least a few. You're our Digimon expert. That doesn't mean you've played them all or anything, but like,
No.
are there any, or what games have you played, or what are the standouts?
What are the notable ones?
Played a few of the Digimon worlds when I was younger. Most of my time spent on Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory, which the Switch ports are great. And,
okay, so those are both available on the Switch then.
Yeah, they're always on sale for like $10 too.
Yeah,
it's 2 games.
I feel like Cyber Sleuth is one that anytime it goes on sale, like that's one that you'll be, that you kind of chomp at the bit to tell us about in the Discord. Can you kind of sell us on Digimon Cyber Sleuth, or kind of what kind of game is it, and why should people play it?
All right, so it's kind of like SMT, Shin Megami Tensei. So the way you get your Digimon and stuff, and you build your party, your main protagonist is, well, whatever you name him, and you'll go and solve cases. You're supposed to be a junior hacker, so you'll go through and you learn like all these different hacking mechanics to break through barriers to solve cases. For example, there's a side quest called Hot Guy Cell Phone, and there's somebody bothering the guy's phone, just blowing him up, and you hack into the phone and go through the digital network and fight Digimon and stuff. And at the end, there's a Digimon that's the one that's been texting them and spamming, and you basically take care of that, and then you can get out and have dialogue and be like, I solved the case, There's a lot more heavier case and stuff. That's just a side case, but
gotcha.
It's mostly about solving cases, and it gets a little more darker, and the stories twist and everything. But the gameplay is close to Shin Megami Tensei. Jay from the Discord said it reminds him of Persona. I haven't played Persona though, so which I'm going to.
I was gonna say that sounds so much like Persona, right? I mean, like that's a very similar. That's the whole loop of that game, right? Is like you'll find something in real life that is, or somebody that's going through trouble in real life, and then you realize that whoever it is in real life that's causing the problem for this person has like a demon version of themselves in this alternate world that you kind of have to quell, and that kind of cures them of their ailments or whatever in the real world. So it sounds very much like the same thing, but just adapted to the whole Digimon storyline, right?
Yeah, the dungeons are just as bad as SMT too.
Yeah, like you can get lost in them really easily.
Yeah, they're kind of confusing at times and just full of random encounters.
No, you're not selling me on it.
One of my favorite parts of the game is the way the Digi evolutions work. So they like branch off from how I talked about Koromon, the very first. You got all these first cells of Digimon, and then they branch off into 5 different evolutions, and then those have like 3 to 4 evolutions, and you have to have certain like attributes and stuff to get them to that next stage. And there's also like Sonic Adventures 2, the Chaos Gardens or whatever it is, where you take care of
the Chow Gardens.
Chow, yeah. But it's kind of like that. They got like a Digi farm, and you can put Digimon there and farm. It's like make your little world and make little like stuff for them to level up and up their attributes and other stuff too. So that's like one of my favorite things about it.
Yeah, that sounds cool. It sounds like that would fit really well into like Shin Megami Tensei, right? Like having an area where you can just like hang out with the demons like would be nice, but so you don't just feel like you're just using them constantly. That was one of my main problems with that game.
I don't want to like jump ahead to Digimon Survive, but in like prepping for this episode, I like watched the trailers for Digimon Survive, and one thing that struck me is that like the animation and stuff is decent, right? Yeah. Like and the anime cutscenes are nicely done and stuff like that. Is that true in Cyber Sleuth as well?
There's not so many like cutscenes, but the animations are good. Like there's little slideshows, and like the background always has something going on usually, but it's mostly like reading text dialogue.
Gotcha.
As in, I think the Digimon Survive is supposed to have some voice acting, and it's supposed to be a 50% like visual novel.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should just move on to that then. Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk Survive. Because I know this game has been in development forever, right? Like, how long is this?
2018, maybe.
Yeah,
around there, 19.
That's such a long time, and they've been really hyping it up for forever, and it's dropping at like the worst possible time, right?
Oh yeah.
Same day as Xenoblade
It's
3,
bad.
right?
Yeah, same day as Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Like that's pretty rough. But what's going on with Digimon Survive? What kind of game is this?
It reminds me of like Triangle Strategy and Final Fantasy Tactics, like another tactics game with the hard like visual novel aspects. I haven't played many visual novels besides a few, but I thought this one looks interesting, especially since it's Digimon. Triangle Strategy had the convictions. It was morality. I don't remember the other two.
Right.
Yeah.
But Digimon Survive has things. It's called Karma, and it's basically supposed to be like the same thing. You have harmony, morality, and rage, and talking to NPCs and stuff, and building friendships. All kinds of different choices you make will affect your karma, and that will eventually branch off your choices and what ending you'll get.
That sounds cool. I think about a visual novel, like especially one that has multiple endings and branching narrative paths. And I love the idea that, there could be another gameplay element that affects those choices besides just text choices. You know what I mean? Like that your battle. I have this. I'm making some assumptions here, but that that if it's similar to Triangle Strategy, that maybe decisions you make in battle could also affect what storyline you go down. So I think that's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, you also recruit Digimon the same way as kind of like SMT. You engage dialogue with them and gotta convince them to join your party.
Yeah, and like I said, I think the game looks pretty good for given, especially knowing now more that it has this big visual novel element. Like they've done a good job with like that part of it. It looked, from at least from what the trailer shows, it looks like. I definitely had this thought watching it of like, Digimon may be the Pokemon imitator, but their cutscenes and stuff look nice compared to Pokemon.
Yeah,
it looks really dark.
That too, yeah, a little more adult.
Yeah, I think it's interesting now that we're talking about some of these more recent Digimon games that and it's not just you, Donnie, who says they're great games. Like these games have been like critically acclaimed, they're very, they've been very popular and they've gotten really good review scores. And I think, and clearly a lot of like love and work and talent goes into the whole presentation and the animations and everything like that. And I just find it interesting, Patrick, you're talking about, a lot of Pokemon games constantly get a lot of shit for being, they're already up on top of the hill. And so they don't have to put a ton of work into like iterating every time or like making big graphical leaps. But also these are very different styles of games, right? Like Digimon isn't going out and making Pokemon style, like catch 'em RPGs, right? I mean, I guess like, Cyber Sleuth is like kind of similar in the way that you collect them and everything like that. But it's not like, they're not copying that gameplay style exactly. They're doing like their own thing. And so it's like going from a game like SMT that's like a dungeon crawler, with Digimon Cyber Sleuth, and then now this, which is like a strategy RPG. I think it's smart of them, knowing that there are going to obviously be comparisons between both of the franchises, to do their own thing from a gameplay perspective, right? So I think that's a smart move on Bandai Namco's part, not to try to just completely rip off the entire formula.
Did anyone see the grid-based combat system?
I
the trailer or anything?
Yeah, I watched the trailer. I'll be honest that like I'm not great at strategy role playing games, and so some of that kind of washed over me. But yeah, can you explain what we know about it a little more?
So, well, I watched a lot on like Digicon too, and they said that just like most strategy games, you'll have your positional advantage from the side or the back, and then also height cause like a higher crit, and your elemental weaknesses, and they kind of go with the Digimon Adventures thing with the Digi evolutions. So you can Digivolve during battle, but afterwards go back to your normal state. Digi evolutions will depend on your relationship with Digimon, your karma, and other things, I guess, items and certain things in the world that will affect that. So I thought that was pretty cool.
A lot of mechanics going on.
Yeah,
sounds like.
competing systems. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that game is coming out on July 29th. Like we said, I know Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is coming out. Matthew, are you convinced now to play Digimon Survive instead of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 on release?
Yes.
Yes.
What do I say to that?
I was just giving you a hard time. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I put you on the spot.
I'm honestly intrigued by Digimon. Is it a franchise that I am absolutely unfamiliar with, which is, I'm so thankful that you're here with us, Donnie. It's a rich series with plenty of games and content and anime, manga, and music CDs, postcards, merch, plushies, everything. It offers a lot that I'm very unfamiliar with. So I'm learning a lot about the franchise, and like Cyber Sleuth is a game that I didn't know existed until you posted about it on Discord. And then talking about it deeper here, you're offering a compelling argument to spend some time with the series.
Mm-hmm.
Jay hooked on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cyber
All right. That's cool.
Jay will play anything.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. That's not
JRPG.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah.
Jay.
Oh yeah, no. I guess I just had a question, kind of leading into sort of the end of this. Is like, where do you think, where do you think that like the Digimon franchise could go past this? Right, like what is like your ideal Digimon game? Like, do you see like a game coming out that's like retelling the story of Digimon Adventures, or like kind of the original anime, or like what is it that like you personally want to see out of Digimon past obviously this SRPG kind of tactical game?
It would be nice to see another one like similar to Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory. I really enjoy those games, but with more like open world, especially with today, because they're just traveling from section to section, zone to zone, stuff like that. Not like as big as the zones in SMT5 or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty small. And also, when I was watching DigiCon, the producer of Digimon was talking about he wanted a remaster or remake Digimon World, the original one. I thought that'd be really cool. I'd want a full remake, but I don't know if the remaster cut of that game's pretty clunky.
Yeah,
by great modern standards.
It's a great game, but
yeah, 1999. I feel like 2000. A lot of those games maybe not hold up, but
That was like a PS1 game, right?
mm-hmm.
yeah,
a remake would definitely push it.
make more sense
In
maybe.
the style of Final Fantasy VII remake.
yeah, like super realistic.
Yeah. Man, I'll say one of my. I just have to give a little shout out. So I watched the Digimon movie in theaters when it came out as a kid. I was a fan of the anime for sure. I was agnostic when it came to like Pokemon or Digimon, right? That ultimately ended up being more of a Pokemon fan, but I also really like the anime. And man, the soundtrack for that movie fucking slaps so hard. It's got like some of the all-time bangers on it. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but it's got The Impression That I Get by the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. It's got 1 Week by Bare Naked Ladies. It's got All Star by Smash Mouth. What else you got? You got Fatboy Slim on there. You got Rockefeller Skank. It's just like basically all of the 90s, like big chart topping hits. They just got them all for that fucking movie. And I remember like, I would just play that soundtrack constantly. Oh, it also had Kids in America on it. Like this like dope like cover of Kids in America. So anyway, that soundtrack is the shit. I'll always think of Digimon fondly, if not just for that soundtrack.
Well, yeah, I mean, is there anything else before we move on that you want to make sure and mention, Donnie, about the franchise as a whole, or about Digimon Survive, or
I think I don't know if I mentioned about the affinity and like relationships with actual humans too. Because I noticed on the title screen too, when they were shown, or one of the pause screens, they showed hearts with like levels of affection with each human. So I thought that was pretty cool too. Another visual novel take, I'd say.
It's got like social elements.
Yeah,
and stuff
social.
Like that. Yeah.
It's a mixture of everything. It seems like I'm kind of going in a little bit blind. Most stuff I watch was Japanese, besides the English trailer we got.
It will be in English upon release, I imagine. Yeah. Okay, very good. Good to know.
So I think that does it for our conversation on Digimon. If you're out there listening or watching, we'd love to hear from you if you're a fan of Digimon, anything we missed. And thanks, Donnie, for coming on and sharing your enthusiasm for the franchise. And we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we'll be talking about the games we've been playing recently. I don't have a whole lot new to report. I've been playing more Mario Strikers. I played some with our guest a few weeks ago, Andrew, online. And that was a lot of fun. Game is best played with people. It's a lot of fun to actually have somebody who I could pass the ball to and kind of had ideas about what to do with it rather than the AI. And we played a bunch of games online and we lost a bunch. And then we just started winning at the end. And it was like, that's how you want to have an online session, right? Where you're like, I'm losing, but I'm still having fun, getting warmed up. Okay, we're winning. Let's quit.
You do that little brother move where you're you're ahead of the game and then you quit.
Won the last one, yeah. And then I don't know. I haven't been playing much else. I played some Pikmin again with my kid and stuff, but that's pretty much it.
He's been too busy making games and making LLCs.
Yeah, too busy filing paperwork.
Matt, what about you? What have you been playing?
Earthbound, nothing else. I got sucked into it. I'm level 65, so I would assume I'm probably 15 plus hours in. I don't know, man. The writing in that game is just so good. It's just such an enjoyable game that really enjoys itself. And I'm enjoying it while it enjoys itself.
That's a good
A lot of enjoyment.
No, I said this in the Discord. I am so impressed by it that I wonder how my life, my interest in video games would be different if I would have played Earthbound instead of Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger is my favorite game of all time, but how Earthbound might have affected my sense of humor or writing or interest in video games. Just it feels very formative, and the folks that probably played it around the same age could be formative to them.
Do you think you would have been even funnier and even more into video games?
I can't imagine.
Because you're both already.
I know.
Yeah,
I don't know. It would probably. I don't know. Let's say that I would probably.
I'd love to branch into this multiversal.
This multiversal timeline.
Yeah.
I would probably be more into like dating sim games or stuff that is text, like BioWare games, the text heavy RPGs. I can't spend a lot of time with BioWare games, but I might
be a big Deltarune fan at the very least.
Oh, probably. I'd probably be in all that shit. Yeah. That's me. Mostly been playing Earthbound, almost exclusively Earthbound. David, how about you?
Very good. Yeah, I've been playing a lot of stuff. Unsurprisingly is the word. Non-surprisingly is not a word. I did finish Metal Gear Solid 4. Excellent game. Man, had some long streams on that one. Because who was it? Joe Katinsley, good friend of mine. Shout out. I don't know if he listens to the podcast, but hey, buddy, I just said your name. Convinced me to play one act per stream, which sometimes came out to about 3 hours, which is what I was trying to do. Sometimes would mean I was streaming for like 4.5, almost 5 hours for some of these things. But it was cool. I got it done in like 5 streams, so that was nice. Great game, dude. Everybody shits on Metal Gear Solid 4. I get why. It's a mess. It's a glorious mess. But so is the rest of the franchise. You know what I mean? Like people look back on, I think, the earlier games with rose-tinted glasses versus the new one. But as someone this has been the year of Metal Gear Solid, right? Like I realized I started playing the first one in January and we've gone all the way up to this point. And it's like playing them all back to back to back, it's really just one big long game, and you see the evolution of it over the course of it, and it really feels very continuous to me. So I loved that game. I absolutely loved it. I'm taking a little bit of a break before I head into Peace Walker, but the year of Metal Gear Solid will continue on twitch.tv/monolithfiji. And then what else have I been playing? We talked about Klonoa earlier, about it coming out, but man, Klonoa is such a good game. I've been playing that. Almost done with Door to Phantom Isle right now. I'm working my way through it, and then I'll start Klonoa 2. But then there's also other great Klonoa games too. I've been playing on Game Boy Advance. There are 2 great original Klonoa games as well. So there's a whole franchise there for people to check out if you're interested in that. I still need to start that Live Alive demo. I'm going to be starting that pretty soon because I'm actually.
Isn't it Live Live?
No,
I'm just fucking with you.
It's
yeah.
Leave I Leave.
Leave, I leave.
I leave. But anyway, other than that,
Picross.
yeah, it's Picross. Speaking of Picross, which is pronounced Picross, I've been playing that Game Boy Color Pokemon Picross game that was never released but got unearthed in the Giga Leak. I've got that on my Steam Deck, so I've been playing that a lot. That's my go-to Picross game recently. And then, other stuff on my Steam Deck. I got Fall Guys working. That's technically an unsupported game on the Steam Deck, but it's very easy to get it running. You just have to run a different compatibility layer, and it runs perfectly. And boy, howdy, it runs like twice as good as the Switch version. It's like the only way I want to play Fall Guys now, because I can still play it on the couch while I'm watching something, but I'm not having to watch people run around at like 5 frames a second, which is really nice. Some other stuff I've been fucking around with on my Steam Deck. Let's see. I finally have been messing around a little bit with Switch emulation, which is kind of interesting. Getting Switch games running on the thing is kind of a fun little experiment to do. And just seeing like what plays and how well it plays. I'm only playing games that I've already bought on the Switch, obviously. But it's very interesting to see how that works. So that's been fun. I got Game Pass running on it as well. It's not running natively. But through xCloud, you can stream Game Pass to your Steam Deck. So that makes it like an all right alternative. Although a lot of the games I like to play on Game Pass are, more twitchy and really require good inputs. So I don't know if that's really for me, but it's kind of nice doing it. And then finally, the game I want to shout out that I've been playing is a game I've been meaning to play for a really long time. And it's a fan game called Sonic Roboblast 2. Have you guys heard of this game? It's really, really cool. It's been around for like 10 years now. And it's actually originally made off of a mod of Doom, the Doom engine, right? And so it's like this 3D Sonic game that you're constantly behind Sonic as you run, but you can also play as Tails and Knuckles if you want. But it's got this really cool aesthetic. It's got this like whole 3D world, and then your character is like a 2D sprite, like running around on it. And just the sense of momentum that you get and speed, it's just like a really great take on 3D Sonic that you don't see from the actual 3D Sonic games. Those are so much more run in a straight line really fast. You know what I mean? Sonic Adventure had a little bit of exploration, but this really feels like, this kind of, it feels almost like a stepping stone between the 2D games and the 3D games, but in a way that feels really, really good. And it's, it's obviously, like I said, it's all fan created and it's all been community handled for a really long time. And it's got a native Linux build. So I've been playing that on my Steam Deck, and that's been a blast.
You said it's a Doom mod? It runs off the Doom engine?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It runs off the Doom engine, and it's, you wouldn't know from looking at it, right? It's got a little bit of similarities, I guess, in the graphical style, but it's like, it's a really fascinating project that's turned into a great game all on its own. And that's something that I love about the Sonic community, man, is that like they just make games and Sega just lets them make them. You know what I mean? Like they don't shut any of these projects down, and they have such a dedicated fan base, and they're all like artists and developers in their own right, to where they make some really, really cool shit. So Sonic Roboblast 2, I really recommend checking out. That's a super cool game. That's what I've been playing this week. Donnie, what about you, man? What have you been playing?
I've been playing some Earthbound, level 30 now.
Wow, catch up, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Get on my level, y'all.
It's gonna be a while. I also started Bowser's Fury, which I haven't played the 3D Land either, but I'll probably play that next. But I'm playing Bowser's Fury first and enjoying that so far.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. I mean, maybe this isn't popular, but I think Bowser's Fury is better than 3D Land. Like, I love Bowser's Fury. So that's the way I did it too. But
played it first.
Yeah.
I don't think that's too unpopular in my
okay,
opinion,
maybe
Patrick. Yeah, it's very good. I mean, I love both of them, right? I don't know that I would say I like one more than the other, but Bowser's Fury is really, really good.
Also playing Astro Dogs, which is like a kind of like a Star Fox 64 clone, but with some really poppy and colorful graphics, kind of like a Jet Set Radio animations, basically. And it's real fast paced and fun.
So what kind of game is that exactly? Is it like is it an on-rail shooter like that? Is it a roguelike? Like what so it's level based.
It's level based. It's like Star Fox. So it's on-rail shooter, and it's got a bunch of like special abilities and stuff. And you can make a force field, and you can do all kinds of special missiles and just your normal regular attack that just spams nonstop. And it's all of them that fly are dogs. And it's got a little humor to it and stuff too. Astro Dogs. And
I love it.
Yes.
That is correct.
Yeah, it's funny, dude, because we had the developer of the cat-based Star Fox clone, Whisker Squadron, on. So it's nice. He was a guest on the podcast. Great guy from Aaron from Flipfly Studios. That game is coming out soon. That's more of a roguelike, right? But it's nice to see that both the cats and the dogs have their own Star Fox games out there in the industry.
Is that going to be on Switch?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It also makes me think of a kids show that came out within the last year called Dogs in Space on Netflix. That's fun. Sorry, throw that in there, but I had to.
It reminds me of Paw Patrol, but with space.
Paw Patrol, I don't recommend watching as an adult.
Yeah.
Dogs in Space as an adult.
All dog cops are bastard. I think we can.
And lastly, I just got Picross 7. I've been playing. Enjoying that.
Nice.
The Switch Headz community made me into a Picross fan.
So you're officially a fan now.
Wow. Okay.
You get what it's all about.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah, dog. Hell yeah, dog. Yo, Donnie, let's
Oh,
chat.
hell yeah,
let's,
to Picross.
What are you talking about? Fuck beat 'em
yeah.
ups. Only Picross.
I need a Digimon Picross.
Dude, I would buy the shit out of it. That would make me a Digimon fan.
You said hell yeah, like you're at a Kid Rock concert. You're like, hell yeah.
Picross.
Yeah, Picross, baby.
Yo.
With the Digimon movie soundtrack going to it.
Yeah, exactly. 1 week by Bare Naked Ladies while you're playing Pokemon Picross.
This is what it means to live.
Sorry, I got kind of hyped there. I apologize.
I love it.
Okay, well, I think that does it for this week's episode. Donnie, thank you so much for coming on and joining us. Thanks to MilkyWay.co for doing our website. Thanks to Corduroy for doing our music. And if you're looking for me, Patrick online, I am PDYX.
Matthew on Twitter, MATHYOU.
I'm pretty much everywhere on the internet at Monolith Fiji. And what about you, Donnie? Where can people find you online?
I think I'm just Donnie Meyer 90 on Twitter. And about it. Discord, Donatello.
That's right.
Nice.
That's right. Very good. Yeah, make sure you follow Donnie on our Discord, by the way. Donnie's Discount Depot, aka the eShop channel. Always posting great deals. Always posting like the weird indie games that nobody's touching that Donnie's playing. So it's really great having you on and hearing you talk about games, Donnie. Absolutely. And then, of course, if you'd like to find our show on social media, folks, we are at Switch Headz on Twitter, at Super Switch Headz on Instagram and Facebook. We've got a website, switchheadz.com, and you can join our Discord like we were just talking about, or our Facebook group, both of which are great communities. We'd love to have you join those. That's going to do it for this episode. We're going to be back next week with an all-new episode. Can't wait to get that one to you. With just so many great games coming out. So much. This is an insane July. You know what I mean? Even just the Nintendo games coming out. But I forgot Stray is coming out too. Stray looks incredible, right? So there's just so much great stuff coming out this month. So I'm sure we're going to be talking all about that. So make sure you tune in next week for our next episode. And other than that, folks, we love you guys very much. You know the drill. Stay safe out there. Be good to yourself. Be good to one another. Let's try to, emanate the love into the world that we want to see in each other. I don't know what that means. We love you guys very much. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.